coach. Hello, it's Belen Diaz, and this is the E-volve show. And today we're going to be talking with a money coach, and her name is Amy Schultz. Amy is a money coach that helps women reframe limiting beliefs about money so they can build the life they love. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. So, Amy, why don't we start telling the audience a little bit about you and what you do for your work?
Yeah, so I'm a money coach for women. My company is called Smart Girl Money. The mission of my company is really to get women more comfortable with money and to not feel so stressed about it. I think there's this masculine energy around work and money that we have in our world today. And so really a lot of the issues we have with money about not being able to save or, overspending, credit card debt, things like that, really come from us trying to fit in this space that we don't feel comfortable in. So I look at it as a holistic approach. So thinking about the limiting money beliefs, the patterns and behaviors we have around money, and kind of figuring out, first of all, what those look like, and then how to reframe them so that women are comfortable with money and so that it doesn't become a roadblock to what they really want out of life.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think it's so important to know how to manage your money and
Yeah.
these things. So was this something you always enjoyed? Did you struggle with it in some point of your life? How did you come up with this idea of business?
Yeah. So I have a pretty strong financial background. I was an actuary for 7 years before I started doing this. And so I made pretty good money and I spent all of it. I had like nothing to show for it. I was always overspending. And so I had a pretty significant life change after I had my first son in 2017. And I realized that what I wanted to do was help other women make the same realization I did, that the mistakes we make with money are personal and that it's all emotional. And so, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm very open about the mistakes that I've made in the past. And I think that kind of helps other women to feel more comfortable talking about it and be more open about it. And so that's why, I do what I do now, because I wish I had somebody to coach me on these things years and years ago.
Yeah, because it's like one of those things like nobody tells you, and sometimes at home, like with your family, you don't talk about it. But nowadays, we have professionals who actually do that, so you guys can teach us and guide us to have a better understanding of that.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think there's so much practical personal finance guidance out there. And so that really, I felt so much shame around that I had all these opportunities to learn more about what to do with my money and it just wasn't sticking. And so that's where that emotional aspect is so important.
Yeah, and then I was reading at your website, you say something about you take your clients to building the life you love, and it starts with a better money mindset. I love the money mindset. Do you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times women will come to me and say things like, I don't know what to save for. I don't know why I can't stick to my budget, or I have all this debt. And what's really going on is that nobody sat down and asked them the personal questions, like who are you as a woman? What do you want to be doing with your life? And so, of course, they have a hard time keeping their money in check because they don't know who it is they really want to be or what it is they want to do. And so I approach it from that aspect of, first of all, figuring out what that goal looks like, what that dream life really is. And then also, what are the limitations that you have based on your past experiences with money? So to me, money mindset means patterns, beliefs, behaviors, whatever it is that we've acquired over time about money as a result of our culture or our family. I think a lot of times we model a specific parent in terms of money management or money beliefs, and we don't realize it until we dig into it. So that money mindset is something that a lot of women just have never talked about before, or nobody's ever asked them about it. And I think when you can tie that to what they really want to do in life, that's where the big breakthroughs happen. And that's where they let go of that anxiety and guilt and embarrassment around money, because they realize what their purpose is, and they realize what it is they want to do with their money. It becomes very clear.
Yeah, and I think it's just like a realization. It's what you say. For me, it's like I love this subject, so I'm like always
Yeah.
like checking like my expenses on this to
Right.
being like an extreme level. But
Yeah.
I think it's important what you say. It's great that you guide your women to find out first, why are you gonna save? Why are you
Yeah.
gonna, so you're kind of like guiding them to what they want so they can start working financially to get that.
Right.
That is,
Yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite part for them is that when they realize like, oh, of course I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I wanted to be doing. So how was I supposed to guide my money in the right way that doesn't make me feel bad about it if I don't know who I am or what I'm supposed to do?
yeah. And then I was reading another thing on your website that I think it was very interesting. You say like sometimes we're working and working and working for money, but we don't check our values, right? Like how was
Yeah.
that with your experience?
Yeah, so that's one of the first exercises I do is identifying values and figuring out what is most important to them. Because I think we sometimes we're working so much because we just are valuing money, right? Like we think there's this standard of success we have to meet. And if we take the time to sit back and think about, no, what is really important to me? A lot of times, most of the time, it has absolutely nothing to do with money. And so if we can focus on nourishing those things and really making sure more of that is happening in your life, whether it's family or health or community, and focusing money on that instead of just on the sake of money and making money, that's where real change comes in for all women. Really, is if you know what your values are and you can stick to them, even when you are tempted with shiny things or whatever it is you want to spend money on, or even an opportunity that might get you more money but doesn't necessarily feel authentic to you or feel like it meshes with your soul and what you want to do. I think that's where you become like this um, keeper of money or this like money expert or something, because you don't have fear around money like other women do.
Yeah, and I think it's true, like what you were saying, like it's like you are trying to save and doing all these things, but if you don't know your reason, like it just doesn't make any sense. So money is not the most important thing, but we have to
Right.
know how to manage it so we can use it as a tool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think money it's so important. It's ingrained in everything about our world, right? And so if we don't understand what we're using it for and why we're using it, it's really easy to just get caught up and let money control us instead of actually doing what we need to do to control our money.
Yeah, and do you think, because you work mostly with women, do you think women has more difficulties with money than men, or kind of the same? What do you think it's the?
Yeah, I don't think we have more difficulties. I think we aren't validated in choosing meaning over money. So I think what we've been trying to do for so long is put ourselves in this masculine space with money, and so try to, in our world, money has a very masculine energy, and so I think with women we've been trying to fit in that. When what we need to do is figure out what is our purpose as women, what feels true to us, and what is our right path that we want to be on, and then do that instead of worrying about what the rest of the world is doing. So I don't think it's that we have more difficulties. I think it's that no one has said to us, hey, you don't have to do these things that you've been told your whole life. Like work and money and success doesn't have to look a certain way for you. It can look the way that you want it to, as long as you believe the right things about money, and as long as you can manifest the things that you really want with your money.
Yeah, and then what the women that you work with them, like what is their realization, or like it's something like out of the blue they had never talked about this, like they suddenly understand all these things. What do they say to you?
Yeah, like my favorite is when they don't realize how much pain they have associated with money. They're like, I just didn't realize that was pain. I thought everybody was stressed about money. So a lot of times I'm like the only person in their life that they've had a vulnerable conversation about money with. My other favorite one is when, I'll say like, okay, so we've been talking for an hour and a half. Why did it just take you an hour and a half to admit what you really want out of life? So a lot of times it's that they are embarrassed that they don't want to just stay in the same job or the same relationship. They think that whatever life goal they have isn't worth going after because it looks different. It's not all about going after money. It's not about a six-figure life or whatever it is. And so that can feel wrong to us sometimes. So I think a lot of the breakthroughs are just them having conversations that are a little bit deeper around money than what they normally would have.
Yeah. So you think money is money is related to confidence, or confidence can be related to money? What is your thought about that?
Yeah, I think if we can get ourselves to a place where we are really confident in what we are supposed to be doing and what we want to be doing with our money and whatever our true calling is in life, I think if we have confidence about that, we're going to have confidence about money, because we're going to know without a doubt what we're supposed to be doing with our money. I talk a lot about like decision fatigue. So when we go to make decisions about money and we just are like so overwhelmed and exhausted, if we take a second and remind ourselves that we're confident about who we are and what we want to do, and then just make a decision that aligns with that, I think that's where that confidence with money comes from.
So do you think what comes first, money or confidence?
Yeah, I think I always thought that the confidence with money, so the practical personal finance stuff, so like reading books and all of that, I used to think that came first. And so when I first started my business, that was my approach, was to teach women more about personal finance education and financial literacy. And then the more I did that, the more I realized like this stuff is out there for them to know. What isn't out there is somebody telling them why it's really hard, and that's the money mindset. So I think the personal confidence has to come first, and then the money confidence comes second.
Totally. Yeah, that's so brilliant. It's true,
Yeah,
because like what you say, like there's so much resources out there, but
yeah,
the truth is like self confidence, and somebody, a coach who guides you to what you want, how you feel about
right,
money. Like there is no that many books that ask you how do you feel about money, you
right,
get the information but not really like that guidance.
right, yeah.
So what will be some tips that you will like to give to our audience to feel more confident about money, or to have better finances or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the number one tip is just dive into your numbers. So just start looking at what you've been spending on. Start looking at how you tend to make decisions around money. So what are your tendencies and behaviors with money? And don't be afraid to go deeper with that. So when you identify patterns, like what are you spending money on, what are the things you tend to say no to if they cost money, think about why that is. What, is there a limiting belief there? Is there something that happened in your past that makes you feel like you either don't deserve to spend that money, or you shouldn't spend money on something? Think about it on a deeper level, because the only way you're going to feel confident about your numbers is if you stop ignoring them.
Yeah, so
I think,
that's a good tip for sure.
yeah,
Because people, I mean, it's just fascinating to me to see that a lot of people, you ladies watching here,
right.
don't see the real numbers. Like take your bank account, like look at what are your expenses. Like for me,
Right.
when I realized like how much money I was spending in just coffee out, when I
Yeah,
could do it at home, and all that money save it for a trip or something like that. So it's just very little things that it can help you to move forward really fast.
right. Yeah, and think about, are you setting yourself up for failure? Like if it is something like coffee, and then every time you go and you feel bad about buying coffee, fit that. Sorry, the babies are gonna scream. If every time you go you feel bad about, buying coffee, fit that in your budget and then just let it go. Next month, okay, so now I now have a coffee budget that's $25 a month or whatever. That's fine. Now I don't have to feel bad every time I go to buy coffee. I think we kind of set ourselves up for failure sometimes when it comes to confidence with money, because we think we're supposed to be doing something a certain way. But if we look at what we actually do and then build our budget off of that, it will start getting more confident and feeling better about it.
It will work better. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want, we can wrap up the conversation, maybe telling the audience about your Facebook group or your events coming up.
Yeah, so I have a free group on Facebook. It's called Meaning Over Money. So if you go to facebook.com/groups/meaning over money, I'm in there all the time talking about these things, talking about money mindset, getting confident with your money. And I have a free event coming up on June 4th. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern. In order to get into it'll be a Zoom call. So we'll be able to be face to face. I will talk a little bit about the real reasons that women face challenges with money and what to do about them. And then we'll have a group discussion. So this is your chance to kind of get questions answered if you have them. If you have anxiety, fear, shame, or guilt about money, this is the place and the group for you to be.
That's so great. So I invite you all to get into the Facebook group so you guys can ask all your questions to Amy, because she has all the knowledge that sometimes we need.
That's right. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Amy, for being here with us. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a great time. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.